What's going on, guys? Plastic Beach X3 back here with another One Piece sim video, and this time it's going to be another ranked ladder video utilizing the Belo Betty strategy. So I'm going to be playing Belo Betty on the sim again, and this is going to be a special episode. It's going to be all green purple Luffy matchups. So you're going to be able to see the matchup as I've played it into it on the ranked ladder. First and foremost, I want to say that I'm not sure green purple is, or Belo Betty into green purple is like the end all be all matchup. It's not like it's like Belo into like Nami or something. It's definitely a favorable matchup, but there are instances where you definitely lose, particularly to two different cards, and that's Electric Luna and the 4-drop green Zoro. Those cards are like this deck's worst nightmare. If your opponent opens both of those and like can get them off pretty cleanly, and if you don't have the answers for them, then it's pretty tough to win those matchups. But in general, you should have a favorable matchup into green purple. Second of all, this is the list that I am playing currently. I could definitely see myself going back to a different version of the deck. I actually went 7-0 and then lost the 8th round in a box tournament for the simulator. Ended up getting top 4 in that box tournament, but I went 7-1, losing in the semifinals because it wasn't like Swiss or anything. It was just single elimination. But I was playing a much different version of the deck. I was actually on I mean, what version of the deck is going to be much different, but it was like something like this. Similar to this, maybe like instead of this, it was the Sabos or something like this. I think I played in it, and maybe even a dragon in there. Cut something for a dragon like this or something. So I think this was the list I took to that box tournament. So this list also works. I mean, I would say like these 4 slots, or like 5 slots, 4 to 5 slots are just like flex spots, so you can build it however you want and like test out different things. That's what I'm doing right now, but this is the list I'm on right now, is with the hormone currently, and I'm actually on 4 Kuma as well. But enough yapping, let's get into the games here. And that's all to say that this video is going to have a bunch of different lists. So the list I showed in the beginning is not necessarily the list that'll be in these games, because I'm testing out a bunch of stuff. But regardless, we're going to have our first game against GP Luffy, of course. We're going to start going second, and we're going to play the Belo Betty Searcher, search out the Koala, because the reason I took Koala is because, first of all, I'm on the even curve, so I'm going to be able to play it on 6. A lot of times, GP will try to starve you because they can't handle the early pressure if you do end up triggering. So Koala is generally nice in the matchup to be able to stop the starve, essentially. But in this situation, our opponent decided to swing, and we did hit the Lindbergh trigger, which is pretty gross here. We do top deck the Karasu, so we're just going to go 5-5-8, kill the Nami into a 5 or 4K leader. But yeah, that's the reason why I chose the Koala, and I didn't ditch off leader build. I could still see myself playing it and like boosting the Inazuma, like summoning the Inazuma off of it. It's just gonna depend what he decides to do on this turn. He's gonna play the Sanji Pudding, do the whole thing, and then swing 6 into Lindbergh. I'm gonna 2K counter it, which I'm not sure is correct, but I feel like I have him on the back burner right now, and I just need to continue pressuring pretty hard. We're gonna Koala, and we actually get a Karasu off of the Koala life instead of so we decided to play that instead of the Inazuma, so we can -2 to the leader, make it into a 4K. And we're just gonna swing out here. So we have a blocker 2 life. Our opponent had to go to 4 Dawn, so we're not in any fear of the 6-drop Luffy. The thing about this matchup, and the thing I've started to realize, if you're a GP Luffy player, tune out now. Just so, because I'm about to give you a really big hint on how to beat Belo Betty. Is you play if they play the Sanji Pudding and they don't utilize their leader ability the same turn, then they can go to 7 the next turn, 7 standing, and have enough to play the 6-drop Luffy, or like maybe not that turn, but the turn after maybe, have enough Dawn to play the 6-drop Luffy and like kill you before you can kill them, because they could just live forever through like Giant and 2K counters, because they play a ton of 2K counters and the Robin blocker and stuff. So that's another situation where you lose, is if the opponent decides to play the 5-drop and just like pass. I've lost in those situations, so that's something to keep an eye on. All that is to say, my point in the beginning was that the 6-drop Luffy doesn't come up in the matchup that often, because our opponent is forced to Gum Gum Giant very early, so they just never have the 6-drop Luffy. So a lot of times it's a non-factor, but I just wanted to point out that one example, that if your opponent does do that, then like play the 5-drop and then just pass, that, you know, 6-drop Luffy is now a factor in the game. We're going to go into our second game against GP. This time we're going to lose the roll, and they're going to make us go first. We're going to play our Belo Betty Searcher into take the Ivankov. Could have took the Karasu, but I think Ivankov is just better in a lot of situations. And I decide whether or not to play this Koala or swing 5 into 5 one more time. And I'm not sure what was correct, to be honest with you. Maybe just playing the Koala and being able to swing 5, 6, 5 this turn while also playing something off of the Ivankov is probably better, to be honest with you. So I think that was a misplay on my end there. Especially since we already have the Kuma Sabo in hand, like we just don't need that many 2K counters. But they are swinging at us. We're going to hit an Inazuma. We're going to play the Koala, play the Inazuma. They only have 1 Sanji Pudding on the field and 5 Dawn, so I'm not like particularly scared of dying next turn. So we're just going to swing out. We're going to put them at 1 life. They're going to play another Sanji Pudding, which is fine. But here comes the Electric Luna, which is an insane card against us. And we're just going to have to go for game. They have 1 Dawn standing and a 6K leader. And because of that Electric Luna, it's pretty sketchy, but you can definitely get there. I'm just going to have to swing the right numbers and pray, essentially. So we decide to go 10 first and kill the Nami. And it looks like we're going 10, 10, 12, or 11, 11. And hold on. Okay, so he gianted it into 0 counter, so he had to take the life. He got to 10 and then drew into 0 counter, had to take the life, and he lost. So he had literally 0 counter, hand to counter, even with the giant. So going into the next game here. Another GP Luffy. We're going to mulligan our hand and draw into just an awful going second hand, like one of the worst hands you could probably see in the game. And they're going to go 7. We unfortunately do not trigger off of that 7, and we draw. Once again, our draw is just terrible, you know, classic sim hands. But we're just going to go 6 and probably play the Morley. Could have also held up the Dawn because he has shown that he's willing to swing. But it's not like I'm getting a 4 cost off of a 3 cost event, you know what I mean? Like usual. So why not just play the character, I guess? And we are going to hit an event out of life. We're going to trigger it to play this Karasu, which is like the only decent target in the scenario. And we draw into another 2K counter, which isn't going to do anything for us, but we're going to play the Inazuma, boost everything, swing 6 into 6. And then we're just going to go 8, and try to kill them before they can kill us, essentially. We do have 2Ks to try and protect the board, but that's about all we have. They're going to go 7 into Morley. We're going to 2K 1K. They're going to play another Sanji Pudding, Dawn -2, restand 2, gain 2, and then they're gonna swing a life, and we're gonna hit a Lindbergh. And they didn't. Then they're gonna Electric Luna us, and they didn't hold up enough for a. They didn't have enough for a giant, so we're just gonna have to force to like go for it here. We're gonna go 8. Luckily, we hit that Rushing Azuma. That was pretty good. And 889 gets there, even through the Electric Luna. So sometimes that's just how it is. You gotta realize when you're almost dead and just take the life. Hopefully you hit a trigger, and if you do, you can play around Luna. You know, Luna is Luna is Luna. There's other things you can do to play around Luna, like you can try to keep like an Ivankov or something, like the 4-drop Ivankov alive, so that you can play stuff, like replace tapped stuff in the in-game. But we are going to go second here. We're going to open up the Kuma, so we're going to play that Killer Nami. And here we're just going to play Ivankov. We're going to Leader ability. Think about the discard here. My other cards in my hand besides Koala are not that good, so I feel like I just discard the Koala here. And then we're going to Ivankov, play at the Lindbergh, go 5/5. And yep, one of the best cards in the matchup. They're going to play their 4-drop Zoro, swing 6 into 5, tapping the Lindbergh. I'm going to 2K counter, and then 5 into 5, which I thought, I'm not sure if I was supposed to 2K counter there because pause. So because if he just uses Leader ability, he can go a bunch into it. But I kind of wanted him to use Leader ability because he just goes Dawn -2 for nothing. He doesn't gain anything back, any Dawn back, like if he had Sanji Pudding on the field. So I did counter out of that just to try and maybe bait him into it, but instead he just swung 5, which is probably what he should have done. Luckily we top deck a Koala, so I think ditching the Koala there was probably incorrect, because it's just better in this spot. Yeah, so I'm still getting used to the deck and figuring out like when I should be playing Koala versus Ivankov and that type of thing, so that's why I ditched the Koala. We're just going to top deck a Koala, play a Koala, and we insanely rip a Karasu out of our life. And I'm just deciding whether to play the Karasu or the Inazuma. We're going to just play the Karasu. Ditch the Ivankov and minus 1,000 to Leader. We're going to swing into the Zoro because we are getting decently low on life. And I just want to get rid of it so he can't address the board and then kill him next turn. So he's going to play Sanji Pudding, restand 2, gain 1. Play Zoro Zero. Get the Jet Gatling. And he's going to get real greedy here, go 6 into 5, which it doesn't matter because I'm going to block 1k regardless of what he swings at. But he could have went at the Kuma at least, you know. We're going to Leader ability. We're going to put a Dawn under Karasu, swing 9, and Karasu ability minus 1 to 1,000 to the Leader. Go a 9 to 5. Make him use a Giant and a 1k. And now we just got to, you know, swing good numbers here. We'll start 7 with the Kuma. Get a 0-drop event. 7 with the Koala. Get 2-1. We'll go 7 with Ivankov, and as long as they don't have 2-1 right there, alright, as long as they don't have 2-1 again, then we win. Maybe we could have kept the Koala up, or maybe held off on swinging. What was it? With yeah, never mind. Yeah, we probably should have just held off on swinging with the Koala just in case. Because yeah, we're gonna have 0 down, we're gonna have a blocker 2 life, and so we don't die, except to yeah, I can't really think of anything that we die to there. So maybe it was just better to swing with the Koala last, but we got there anyway. We're gonna have another game against GP Luffy. This time we're gonna have to be forced into first. We're gonna play the Belo and take an Ivankov because we're on the first curve. I think next turn is just Morley, swing 5. Our hand's pretty good. If we were going second, this hand would be absolutely busted. And we would probably win the game on the spot. Because like I said, if you don't already know, I have a top 32 regional Belo deck profile on my channel right now. And as I said in that video, this deck just has like an auto win button. You go second, you open up double searcher, you probably win those games every single time. We're going to have a disgusting Ivankov here. We're going to Ivankov into Inazuma, ditch the Karasu, and boost everything. We're going to go 5, 5, 7, 8 on our 5 down turn. He's going to counter one of them, counter another one. We'll go 7, he takes it. And whenever they pause like that, that means to me that they probably just hit an Electric Loon out of life, which is super annoying. But I think in this game we're positioned well enough to where we might be able to kill them before Luna becomes a factor. Because we do have another Rushing Inazuma in hand and a Karasu in hand. So even if they do end up clearing board, we could probably still live a couple, like at least live a couple turns, and have enough pressure to kill them in the meantime. They're going to go 2 into the Belo Betty, and it's just never good to save it here, I think. Because I want them to, if they're going to swing it at my board, well, they only have 2 swings this turn. So actually it is correct, I think they're to protect the Belo Betty, because I thought for a second the Sanjay Pudding could swing, but since only the leader and Zoro Zero can swing, I think it's better probably to protect it, because then they have to put another attack into it, and then we get to save one of our other characters, either the Morley or the Inazuma, but they're actually going to pivot to life. We're going to hit a 3-drop event out of life, and we're going to play the Karasu and minus 1,000 to the Zoro. Just deciding if I want to take this or counter, and I think it's just better to counter here. They're going to Electric Luna us now, because I think they just have to, or they die because of that trigger. And they also decided not to clear board. So they just have to do it now. But we do have an Inazuma. We're going to go down to 0 cards in hand, so we are potentially dead on the backswing. If we can't get them to Giant, because then the 6-drop Luffy will be live. Right? Yep. So then next turn, if they Giant, next turn they're going to 5. So we need, if we can't kill them here, we need to force them to Giant. Otherwise we're probably dead. And we're also dead to the Nami regardless, if the Nami decides to swing. But I think it's maybe, if we feel like we can't kill them, we can maybe turn a card into the Nami. Maybe. But also we could hit if we just get like a 1k or a 2k out of life, we probably can guard out of the Nami swing or the leader swing. But instead they just didn't have any counter and we were able to kill them. All I was saying there was that it's like a decently safe play just to go for it here. And I think this is where a lot of Belo Betty players fold, is that they don't just like realize that, yes, I'm going down to 0 cards, but am I dead next turn? Like what do I need to happen for me to be dead next turn? Is that he doesn't Gum Giant and he has a 6-drop Luffy and he's able to live through all these swings. It's very unlikely, so I might as well just go for it and take the gamble. Well, it's not really a gamble, it's like a calculated risk, essentially. Alright, but we're going to go into another Belo Betty game. At this point in time, we're relatively high on the sim. I think this is 134 on the sim ladder. We're going to choose to go second, and we open up the nuts. We open up Belo Betty, Ivankov, Karasu. Deciding what to take here off the Belo Betty. Could definitely take a 2k, but I decided to take the Ivankov. Maybe it's better to take the 2k there. We draw into another one anyway. But I honestly just wanted to spam board as much as possible, because my hand is very good. So I got a little greedy. We're just going to do the normal combo, Ivankov and a Karasu, 5-5. They're going to kill the Betty and play Sanji Pudding. So this is one of those situations where I was saying, that the game gets very hard if they do this. If they just decide not to leader ability on the 5-down turn and just establish the Sanji pudding. And you'll probably see why. We're going to play Ivankov, play out a Lindbergh, go 8-4, 7-4, 8-4. And they take all 3, and then we're going to Ivankov play the koala, which is a questionable play, to be honest. But I felt that if they're going to clear my board, I'm going to need these 3 swings next turn to kill them, because I'm kind of afraid now that they, you know, Sanji passed, that I'm afraid of the Luffy now, as where I usually wouldn't be, and I feel like I just need to kill them as soon as possible. So I'm going to go 8-6 with the Lindbergh and kill the Nico Robin. They're going to take an Usohachi. We like desperately need them to Gum Gum Giant this turn, so that we don't die to the Luffy Tar or the Luffy 6-drop. And they do end up doing it. So we're just gonna go 9-10. If they have it, they have it, and they do have a 2/2Ks for the 9. And I decided whether or not to bluff the event, but or like maybe I get it out of life. But I think I just need to absolutely make him take his last life, so that because my entire board could just definitely be cleared if he doesn't go for game here. And then he puts up a blocker and I lose. So I feel like I just needed to put him at 0 life to even have a chance to kill him anytime soon. So he's going to clear the board. He's going to leader ability now, get 2 more Dawn, but unfortunately he decided to play the Robin before swinging at life, and I do hit a Kuma out of life, get very lucky, hit a Kuma out of life to kill the Nico Robin, so it makes killing him next turn a lot easier. He is going to be able to Nico Robin ability and search out the 0-drop event, but unfortunately for him it's just not enough. So we could math him out with the 15 swing, even through the 0-drop event, but I'm not sure his hand or like what he was trying to do here, or the Dawn situation. But he definitely could have played the Zoro first and then held off on the Nico Robin. That way I would have to battle through the counter and the Nico Robin, because I would still trigger the Kuma, of course, kill the Nami, but I would have to battle through the blocker and the counter, and I don't think I can get there with how much counter he had in hand, because he could get to, what, 13 or something? Yeah, so he could get to 13, and there's just no world where I can get kill him on the next turn. So I think that's a massive misplay by my opponent, and like I was saying, it's a very hard. The matchup sucks whenever they play the 5-drop and just like pass, because they're not Dawn minusing themselves at all. So you can die a lot faster, and it's harder to kill them because they'll have more Dawn for late game Gum Gum Giants and stuff. But regardless, especially if your hand is kind of mid. Our hand was pretty good, though, in that game. Going to the last game here. Against the Pirate King himself. We're going to be forced to go first. We're going to play the Belo Betty. Take the Koala. Our hand's pretty good, but it's a pretty good going second hand. We luckily top deck into a 3-drop. I think we're just going to end up playing that card. I do wonder if it is better in these situations to just swing 5 to play around the Zoro, because the Zoro can only tap rush if your opponent has 2 characters on the field. So I wonder if it is better just to not play anything there. And maybe that's even an argument for the 3-drop event, like keeping the 3-drop event in the list to play around the Zoro. But yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like I lose a lot of tempo if I just don't play a 3-drop there, and I have one. We are going to play Ivankov, use the ability, play the Karasu, go 5-4, 6-4, and then 7-4. He's already took a 5 swing, so that's good looks for us. But he was able to filter 2 cards with the 1-drop event last turn. Or 1 card with a 1-drop event. He's gonna take the 6, hits a 1-drop event trigger, and then takes the 7, goes down to 1 life. Gonna go 4-4, and I think this is just another situation where I just save. He's put himself to 1 life, so I'm just super incentivized to protect board as much as reasonably possible. And I also have a koala to keep the pressure up. Gonna play Sanji Pudding. Do the thing. Go 6-4, and I'm gonna let that go. I'm thinking like Zoro or Robin or something, but he's gonna play Zoro Zero. Take a Sanji 2K counter. Top deck an Ivankov, we could definitely play that, but he has been starving us, so I feel like Koala is just better. Because I don't think we can just kill him this turn. And it's just safer not to try to go for it, and just keep putting pressure and maybe kill him next turn. But we're going to play Koala, play the blocker off the Koala. We're going to leader ability, ditch that Ivankov. Go 8 to life, minus 1,000. Going to take it. And then we're going to go 5, 6, and 8. And here's probably just Gum Giant this. That's what I was saying, we're probably just never winning this turn because this deck plays way too much counter. And Karasu just evens out the Dawn situation instead of like the leader ability. It just makes him back to a 5 rather than in usual matchups put him back to a 4. So he doesn't get like in this matchup. Karasu technically gets +1 in Dawn advantage a lot of times because if you think about it, there's Sanji Pudding, or at least it breaks even as much as it usually does. I'll say because usually you can get. Like if you're just talking about like a 5 to a 4, that's 1 Dawn advantage right there. Like it's almost like you put a Dawn into your leader essentially. But if you think about it, if they play the Sanji Pudding, they Dawn -2, they ramp 1, and then they go to 6k, they're essentially getting that Dawn back that they minus, that 1 Dawn that they minused in total under their leader. And then Karasu negates that, so it's essentially like kind of like a making them Dawn minus for real instead of you know, in most matchups you can't punish him for that type of thing, is all I'm trying to say. He's like Karasu, whereas you think Karasu isn't as valuable in this matchup because their leader ability kind of just makes them to turn the game back normal. It actually does matter because of the Dawn. It makes them minus the Dawn instead of get full value out of their leader ability essentially. I'm not sure if that makes sense or not, but it makes sense in my head. But it looks like they're going to try to go for game here. They do have 6 Dawns, so in my head I'm thinking they're going to go, you know, 6 with leader. They can go 7, 7, 7 if they play the 6-drop Luffy. But even then they can't get there. I just have the blockers for it, so I'm never dead. I have 2 life, 2 blockers for a 6, 7, 7, 7. And I think they realize that too. And looks like they're just going to try and Electric Luna me. I'm going to try to clear the Karasu to get me to... What I think is happening here, they're going to try and get me to block the Koala and 2K counter so that they can Electric Luna. And once again, doing the same thing. But instead I take the block. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, because I was going to have to block regardless if I wanted to save the Karasu just in case they didn't have the Electric Luna. But maybe it was better just to not block there and let the Karasu go, to be honest. I was afraid of them, like, also, they could also just, like, play a Nami, have 2 blockers, and then I gave up my Karasu for what, you know? I guess, or not a Nami, a Robin, but I guess I did have Limburg standing, so Yeah, I probably should have just let the Karasu go in that spot. I was also afraid of them holding up a bunch of Dawn for Gum Gum Giant, because they do have a lot of Dawn to work with. And a blocker, but yeah. I guess I did have the Giant in the end, but since we forced them to Electric Luna by protecting the Karasu, I guess it helped us out in the end, because they did end up having a Gum Gum Giant that they couldn't use. But yeah, so let's get back into the list. I hope that helps out a lot of people in terms of getting used to the matchup and seeing how it plays out, at least for me. Like I said, you could definitely lose in a lot of spots if you don't play around the Electric Luna as much as possible, and also the 4-drop Zora, and I'm still getting used to how to do so. I'm learning the niches of the matchup, but it's going to be a very important matchup next set if you want to play Belo Betty. But luckily, it's a very good matchup that you'll win most of the time, regardless of, you know, all the technical play. But regardless, GG's to all those guys. Make sure to subscribe to Plastic Beach X3 for more One Piece videos, and peace out.